Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Inside Home Care Reflections, Best Practices, and Leadership Lessons from the Field. Today, I want to dive into a topic that doesn't always get people excited at first glance: standardization. I can imagine what you're thinking. Standardization sounds a lot like rules, rigidity, maybe even a little corporate. And in a people to people business like home care, where everything depends on compassion and personal connections, standardization can sound like exact opposite of what we want. Home care is one of the most personal industries out there. We meet people at some of the most vulnerable times of their lives when aging starts changing the body, when sickness alters routines, or families face the difficult realization that loved ones who have always been strong and independent now need help. In those moments, the person they talk to matters more than the name of the company on the brochure. People aren't signing up for XYZ home care. They're signing up because of the trust, the warmth, the reassurance they feel from that one person who really listens to them. That's why having a strong and empathetic client care team is absolutely critical to our success. And that will be a topic to a whole other episode. But for now, here is the key point: home care is deeply personal. The relationships we build are our lifeblood. And when those connections are missing or start breaking down, the consequences can be painful. They can be painful for our clients, our caregivers, and the whole company. Adding another layer of complexity, the home care industry is made up of many different business models. You've got independent, privately owned agencies, franchise operations with varying degree of support and independence, um, and more corporate owned branches under large umbrella companies. But no matter the model, almost all of them revolve around one key person, usually the owner or the branch director. That person sets the tone, shapes the operations, and drives culture. Here's the challenge: what happens when that person leaves? I've seen it countless times in my career. A strong leader steps away and chaos follows. Not because the company can't find someone skilled to replace them. Often the new person is just as talented, even more so. The real problem is that suddenly everything starts to shift to match the new leader's style and experience. And clients, caregivers, and staff who are used to doing things one way feel unsettled. Don't get me wrong, change is great. We need it to adapt to new times, to adapt to evolving client needs. But in home care, abrupt wholesale changes can feel threatening. Uncertainty is scary, especially in an industry where stability and trust mean everything. That's where standardization comes in. Yes, again, heard the complaints. It feels rigid, feels corporate, feels impersonal. But here's the thing: when done right, standardization doesn't erase the personal touch, it protects it. Think of standardization practices as a company's memory. They capture what works best so that the culture and quality don't walk out the door with that key leader does. They give us consistency and, yes, repeatability and efficiency across people, teams, locations. In fact, I like to say that standardization frees leaders. It gets us out of the weeds. It gives us the opportunity to focus on the big picture, growing the business, supporting our teams, serving more families. So, what does this look like in practice? Standardized practices are simply agreed upon methods, procedures, and yes, rules that everyone follows. So the client experience is reliable. No matter who answers the phone, no matter who shows at the door. And in home care, standardization brings three big outcomes: continuity and stability for both clients, caregivers, and employees. Um, Everyone knows what to expect. Preparedness and personal for personnel changes. If someone leaves, the system doesn't collapse. Regulatory compliance. State and federal rules are non-negotiable. Standardization helps us stay compliant. At the end of the day, standardization in home care is about giving people confidence. It's about making sure that whatever your caregiver is calling for a shift or family reaching out for help, you can count on the same compassionate, high quality experience every single time. That to me is not rigid at all. I see it as powerful. Here is the important part. Standardized practices should never be set in stone. They are a living document. As clients' needs evolve, as technology improves, as a regulation change, our practices should evolve as well. I like to build in a review rhythm. Quick monthly checks, a deeper update quarterly, and annual refresh of the full thing. That paired with frontline feedback, feedback from your admin employees, from your caregivers, families. Also, any changes should be rolled out slowly with small pilots before the big rollout. And of course, there should always be a clear version control. The goal isn't to freeze how we work. It is to keep raising the floor while making it easier to reach for the higher ceiling. And if creating standardized practices feels intimidating, believe me, you are not alone. You do not have to be an operations guru to start. Begin messy, brain dump. What you did today, how you do intakes, how you do scheduling, how you handle call-offs. What is your onboarding process? What is your retention process? Don't worry about format or grammar. Just get it out of your head and onto a page. Then run it by your favorite AI. Make sure you give it a very clear prompt, though. Um, Something like organize chronologically by topic and update for an operational manual. Once you get that raw data organized, workshop it with your team. Turn it into a simple checklist of standard operations practices. One page is better than 10. Assign owners, train to it, measure it. You can use measurables such as fill rates, closing rates, a response time, client satisfaction, audit score, just to name a few. And tweak it based on the data you collect, on the feedback you get from the people that you work with. That's it. Start simple, ship early, iterate often. At the end of the day, standardization in home care is about giving people confidence. It's about making sure no matter who you are, no matter when you reach out, you can always count on the same high quality experience every single time. And that to me is the kind of structure that protects the personal side of our work, not from change, through change. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Inside Home Care. If you find this helpful, please share it with someone in the industry who might need to hear it. And I'd love to know, what is your experience with standardization? Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.